What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode review for Summertime Rendering. This is episode 4, and with me, as always, I have Blue Spade.
This episode still left me with some amount of questions in regards to Ushio, whether or not she's either a shadow.
Lightly, yeah.
Yeah, but considering the fact that, how we saw like a certain shadow be killed in this episode, I highly doubt that, we actually saw her dead body at Ushio's dead body at the funeral, so there's no way that can be a shadow. So this Ushio supposedly has the memories of Ushio and has some amount of familiarity with Shinpei, and Shinpei of course is puzzled as to whether or not this is the actual Ushio or not. And of course, this Ushio displays no kinds of aggression nor any desire to kill Shinpei at any point in this episode, nor any time when she interacts with other people.
Yeah, because the shadows that we've seen so far have just been malicious. They haven't really acted like the people they're based on. They just kind of take they can, but they have malicious intentions, unlike Ushio, where she supposedly acts like the real Ushio. She said at first she said she can't remember anything, but then she starts to, I guess, slowly remember her own death.
Yeah, most of this episode had a lot of comedic moments of her wanting to go into the festival. At the same time, Shinpei tries to prevent her from causing a scene just due to the fact that that he attended her funeral a couple days prior, and he doesn't know how his friend, how the rest of his friends will react if they end up seeing her.
I was kind of surprised that she actually confessed to Shin, and he still didn't know what she was talking about. That was kind of unexpected, honestly.
Yeah, that wasn't the only love confession we saw in this episode.
We already know that it's obvious that Mio has romantic feelings for Shin as well, but of course Shin, as much as I do kind of like Shin, he does kind of have that whole anime protagonist trait of being very tense and not knowing when girls are into him.
Ushio in this episode kind of called him out of him being dense, which is kind of funny. But we also see that Shadow Mio is also wandering about, supposedly the first thing she sees, of course, is a knife guy's using to cook takoyaki, but apparently she does end up using it to kill several people and then I guess turn them into shadows. But of course, at one point in the episode, Shinpei leaves Ushio to stay hidden in a certain place to meet up with the rest of his friends at the shrine, and of course Ushio doesn't listen and decides to just put on some kind of terrible disguise while still wearing her blue signature blue swimsuit. And then of course everyone of course sees this and notices immediately that it's Ushio, and of course Mio is of course shocked at Ushio's appearance, and she immediately just tells Shinpei over there that that it's a shadow. But what's also shocking, that the Shinpei we see up on the shrine is actually a shadow.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that. I also wasn't expecting Mio to react the way that she did, actually. I didn't think she would immediately think, well, I guess it makes sense, but yeah, she immediately thinks it's a shadow and not really her. But yeah, it was I wasn't, even more so, was not expecting it, Shin to, there to be a shadow of Shin. So I was wondering at what point he died. But then, of course, it cuts back to 10 minutes ago where he's running up the stairs to the shrine, and that's where he encounters the Shadow Mio. And apparently she'd already killed some people, as is indicated by the the impressions left behind by the people she's killed. And she pretty much like she almost ends up killing Shin until Shin's shadow shows up. And I was kind of wondering, like, because I forgot exactly how the shadows come are born, but I think it's I thought at first it was big when the original was killed, but I think it apparently, like, it's when they copy you. They can just copy you. Like, one of the shadows, I guess, copies the person, and then that's when the shadow, I guess, is created. Supposedly the person doesn't necessarily have to die. I guess it's just the shadow just copies that person, or one of the shadows of somebody else, I guess, copies the person, and then that person has their own shadow, supposedly.
Yeah. Well, it's also interesting that the shadow also retains the memories of the person that gets copied. And of course, the reason why the Shadow Shin stops Shadow Mio from killing the real Shin is because the Shadow Shin knows that he can loop if he dies.
Yeah. So instead, Shadow Mio just ends up like breaking his arm.
Mm-hmm.
That of course, like, that's when we see the Shadow Shin just go up to the shrine, but then when before Shadow Mio can really do anything else to Shin, her head gets blown off by the woman with the glasses, which was also surprising to me because I'm wondering how she lived, because it doesn't seem like anything, because as we know, they didn't go to the before the festival, they didn't go to the shrine, or they didn't go to the shrine, and we know that that's where the woman dies. So I'm very confused by this because as far as we know, they didn't do anything that would have changed the outcome of that.
I actually, there's one thing I do want to point out that I kind of missed out on. It actually happened in a couple episodes prior, because you remember in the first episode that both the woman in glasses and Shin and Mio were killed by the Shadow Mio who was holding a gun. Well, in the following episode, the Shadow Mio actually got that gun for killing the police officer in that episode, which
that's right.
Yeah, which Shin prevented in the prior episode. So, like, the Shadow police officer didn't exist at the time and never gave. So the Shadow Mio never got his gun to use at the shrine that following day. So it makes sense why the woman in glasses was able to survive that day at the shrine, supposedly.
Yeah, just when I thought that Shin would have to loop again, he ends up being saved by the woman. And I guess this also shows us that the shadows can supposedly, I guess, be hurt by conventional means, since she shot her with a shotgun. Although the question is, of course, is the Shadow Mio really dead, or is she just gonna regenerate or come back or something? But yeah, at least now it seems like the woman with the glasses is supposedly taking an active role in helping out Shin and his friends, at least if I could guess. But yeah, that's where the episode ends, and it's, again, another cliffhanger. This episode just left me with so many questions. How did Ushio come back? Who is she really? Is she just another shadow, or is she actually the real Ushio, and so she was somehow brought back? Because she mentioned something about, like, she wished to see Shin again. I'm wondering if that has something to do with, like, why she came back in the first place. We know that Ushio is dead because we saw her body, so I have a lot of questions about, like, who this Ushio really is. And also, like, really what the shadows are essentially trying to do. Like, we still don't know, like, what their overall, I guess, goal is, but yeah, I mean, it's just this brought up a lot of stuff, and it left me with so many more questions than, well, maybe some answers, but, like, just way more questions as to what's actually happening.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious to know what's going to happen in the next episode, because we know Shadow Shin is supposedly about to kill this Ushio, and we don't know what he's going to end up doing now that he's running rampant up there.
I guess it depends on if the woman in the glasses and Shin can get there in time. Although we know that Shin now has a broken arm, his legs still work, but yeah, he can't. His one of his arms he can't use. The woman has a shotgun though, so I mean, I guess it depends on what how if they can get there in time, what Shadow Shin is going to do. So I mean, and also not to mention if the Shadow Mio is really dead or if she's just gonna come back. Like that's kind of what I'm wondering, if the shadows can really be killed that easily or if they just end up coming back or something. So yeah, I thought this was a really good episode. The series continues to be like really intriguing and just like I said, right, like just continues to present like all these questions about like what's actually happening. So yeah, I'm really liking it so far. I don't really have much else to say about it though. I don't know if you have anything else to say about it.
Yeah, they just throw one curveball after another in regards to what exactly is going on, and hopefully we'll get the answer soon. But it's I mean we're still very early into the show, and there's like 25 episodes.
I know that's kind of what's crazy about this is that we're already 4 episodes. We're just 4 episodes in, and there's already all this stuff they've kind of thrown at us, and it's as far as I know, like this is going to be like a 25 episode series or something, and I'm just wondering how much more there is to this. Like, if they've already I feel like we've already been shown like a lot, but there's still like so much more to go. So I have no idea what's going to happen at this point. But yeah, so far this has probably been one of the best series. Like, you know, I would say like one of my favorite animes that's airing this season. It's just a shame that we pretty much have to rely on third-party sites to watch it. But I mean, if the people that want to watch this, like, without having to do that, unfortunately, have to wait until it's released on Disney Plus, which who knows how long that's going to be. I mean, obviously after the series finishes airing, which is going to be like months later. So
yeah,
I would hate to be like somebody who's just having to wait to watch this series. I would honestly recommend just watching it on a third-party site, honestly, because there's no point in waiting so long to watch, wait until it's over. But yeah, yeah. So I guess that all being said, guys, until next Friday, we will see you all next time.